Good evening. This is the meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. The date is June 11, 2013, and at this time I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are Kate Housley, John Gulsey, Lisa Carson, and Joan Kronowski, and I am Betty Hollow. Also present is the zoning administrator, Paul Paskey, and secretary, Paul Eschenbacher. Did I call you Paul? John. Okay. John Paskey and Paul Eschenbacher.
Paul. You're almost right.
The board operates under the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The applicant or representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard, and anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or representative can offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code 230703B, the board has the power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variances will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code 230910C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board, has the power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. I've read that already. According to sections City Code 230910C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct specific findings of fact, that each of the following conditions has been supported. Practical difficulty and undue hardship because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property. A literal enforcement of the regulations will result in a practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of the regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purposes of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of the property for which the variance is sought, one or the other, or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Excuse me. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by decision of the board may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. There is only one case on the agenda tonight. The variance request is for the property at 102 West Union Street. This is case 1306B, and the appellant is
Richard Schultz.
Richard Schultz. Thank you. Okay. This particular case has a history with us And so we'll ask Mr. Eschenbacher to tell you whatever we need to know as background.
You're right. Twice before, in 2006 and 2008, a different appellant came before the board and requested to have a variance from the required 6 on-site parking spaces. In each of those two cases, the difference between those two cases and this was that they claimed that they could have one on-site parking spot and one, well, actually two, one accessible, one non-accessible. If you look at the drawing, which I think was on the last page there, next to the patio, they're going to use that space as a driveway and try to park 2 vehicles in there. This variance, they're asking for no on-site, or claiming no on-site parking. So that's the main difference. And in both cases, 2006 and 2008, they were granted those variances. So if you have any questions for
Okay.
Mr. Paskey or myself.
Now? Okay. Mr. Schultz will ask you to come and tell us your name and address.
Do you want to swear people in?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you. So everyone wishing to speak in any way tonight should rise. We are required to take testimony under oath, so anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda should swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Do you so swear or affirm? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Richard Schultz. My address is 41228 Gibson Ridge Road, Albany, Ohio. I represent the tenant, Poe. How do you pronounce your last name? Civil.
Okay.
Person next to him is here representing the owner. It's Chen Hoi. So I have developed a set of state permit drawings to allow Poe to renovate this building. And in the meantime, discovered that we needed to seek a variance for parking. The reason I'm not recommending that we have 1 or 2 parking spaces on site is that we're making this building fully accessible. And I'm trying to do it without a ramp. And I can show you the drawing here in a minute. The interior of the building has a sloping floor that was from, I believe, an old repair garage in the 50s or 60s. So we're actually raising the interior slab of the floor 16 inches and to make it level all the way back through the kitchen. So when you come onto the property, you can walk right from the sidewalk up another sidewalk that's perpendicular to the city sidewalk. That's not a ramp. It doesn't require a railing, so you can walk directly into this building. So we're not opposed to putting a parking space if we need to, but we're trying to make the building fully accessible. And that's why I was seeking it with no parking on site. I think most people are aware there's 8 businesses on that street. Most of them are restaurants, and only 2 of them that I could discover, the Rio Grande Mexican restaurant and Grinders, each have parking, on-site parking. And the rest of them do not have any parking. There's approximately 75 parking spaces, metered spaces on that street that's utilized by the businesses there.
Mr. Eschenbacher, could you speak to the other restaurants on the street? Are they grandfathered to have no parking, or?
As far as Grinders goes, I think they meet current.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They have 11 spaces at
Okay,
Grinders.
Yes.
so Grinders has
Because
spaces.
that was remodeled and built after 97, which is when
Okay.
it adopted.
But the ones that don't have parking, are they grandfathered?
Well,
What's the situation?
the owner of the Smiling Skull owns a parking lot behind Grinders. I don't know specifically that is assigned for the Smiling Skull, as that was purchased in 93
Okay,
before regulations, and as there were businesses there and that parking lot was there, I don't think it was required at that time that that be assigned to those businesses. So as far as I know, is Grinders has their parking.
Yeah, and I would say Cat's Den falls in the same situation.
The
as-
Cat's Den uses that parking lot up there,
Correct.
but again, I don't know if it's specifically assigned to those 2 businesses, or they just own it and happen to use it.
well, do you know about the Indian restaurant, for example?
The Indian restaurant, no, I don't.
I should, because I just had to look that up, that and the other one, the cafe farther up, and it seems to me that one of them received a variance and one of them maybe should have,
Yeah.
or then didn't
Well,
years ago.
I sometimes go to the Indian restaurant. I've always parked on the street, but whether they have parking or not, I don't know. I've certainly
they do
never seen
not.
it. Okay. But could that be a grandfathered status? or
I'm
what?
almost, that one I'm almost sure it was,
Okay.
or that one or the other one was, the Union Street Cafe.
Okay.
One of those two seemed to me it's grandfathered.
Okay. Okay. What else do we need to know, Mr. Schultz?
I could just show you what we're attempting to do here.
Okay.
This is the existing building, which we're fully tearing everything out, putting a whole new roof structure on. This is the curb next to the apartments in the parking lot.
Okay.
And this is where parking had been granted before.
Okay.
And so the tenant will use this for deliveries, but this is the accessible sidewalk to the building. So the front door initially was on the sidewalk on Union Street. We're closing that off and adding windows to the space, and this is the main entrance
Okay.
through what, is just this stone area.
Okay.
And then we're raising the floor all the way through the building, so it's at one level.
Well, so I'm assuming that you're still trying to maintain the patio.
Yes.
All right.
Will you have outside seatings?
Not initially,
Oh, okay.
not initially.
When you say accessible, do you mean handicapped
Yes,
accessible?
handicap
Okay.
accessible. And, there's a term universal accessibility.
Right.
And that's what you try to make every place accessible, and you try to make it without a ramp or a lift if you can do it. And so that's what we're doing here, is this is sidewalk grade, and at that point, you're not required to have a ramp. I'm not required to have handrails.
Oh, that's why, okay, yeah.
So could you bring that a little bit closer? Okay. So what is, there's a patio back there.
This is the existing patio with
Okay,
these
so the
large trees,
sidewalk goes through the patio.
and the sidewalk goes through the patio.
Okay.
And this is the new entrance
Okay.
to the restaurant.
And what's the square footage of the patio?
It's 22. It's about 500 square feet. It's 22 feet this way, and it's probably about maybe 25 or so.
Okay.
1,200 square feet,
1,200 patio?
31 by 40.
Okay.
Well, when I'm counting, this is 40, 31 all the way.
Okay.
I'm counting this area,
Okay.
where the old fence is and where the trees are.
Thank you.
Not related to this case, but what type of restaurant is this going to be?
A great Thai restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Thai restaurant.
Great. Thank you.
Questions? Other questions?
No.
Okay. Is anyone wishing to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in general comment about the variance?
My name is John Lefferholtz. My wife and I, we own the bike shop next door and the building that it's housed in. I guess my general question is, how much space is needed for the access? And had you considered alternatives to that as far as, I mean, if you had to, how many parking spaces could you provide in that area? I guess that's one of my questions. I'm not looking for answers right this minute. I'll let you speak again. Another question I have as general comment is, you said outside seating would not be initially there. Is the space that you're reserving by not using parking spaces going to be converted into outside seating in the future? Or, I mean, I'm concerned about the lacks of area that you're committing to parking might be in lieu of trying to expand perhaps the outdoor business, which is a big concern in our zone. And I also like to speak that the Indian restaurant got a variance, but has no area to add parking whatsoever. Where I feel that, when I look at these plans, I feel that there are areas perhaps that you could add parking. So I guess that's just my general comment.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And what are the area businesses on West Union and that strip? What's the concern about outside seating?
Outside seating in and of itself is not a great concern, other than after hours, if alcohol is served in those outside seating areas, even during hours where code enforcement is working, it's very hard to enforce that. It's almost impossible to enforce those issues. It also adds another layer of the noise ordinance. If those outside seating areas get rowdy, if somebody decides to bring along amplified music and hold an event in those outside seating areas, again, that's not allowed, but it's also very difficult to enforce those issues. And I should mention, too, that in addition to owning the bike shop downstairs, I also own the rentals upstairs. So I have a responsibility to my tenants as well. And it makes it more difficult to rent a space when I show an apartment and a person looks out the window and says, well, how loud does it get? I says, well, I mean, it is a college town. It gets rowdy on the weekends. It limits the number of people I can rent to, basically.
So you'd also be concerned with cigarette smoke?
Yeah, there is a concern with cigarette smoke, of course, as well, but my main concern is,
The noise?
the noise.
Okay.
Any
Thank you.
other questions?
No, I suppose if they have the outside seating, then it's going to increase the number of parking requirements, right?
This whole issue that John brings up, he is correct. We've had our issues down there. It's a B1 strip, and the way the code's written, it states businesses in a closed building, all businesses, services, or processing shall be conducted wholly within a completely enclosed building. Well, we get into the part where we've talked to the law director. If somebody's just sitting outside, the service, the transaction still occurred inside. So it gets complicated as to what we can enforce and what we can't. The best thing we can do is, if it does get out of control as far as noise, is notify the police and do the noise ordinance. As far as someone sitting out there, we've got it numerous places around town where we have outdoor patios and business zones. So I guess it's a matter of where the transaction is occurring. And we have had other cases here, if you can remember a few of them, I'm sure, without naming them, that have been discussed in the past as to which way it goes. And it's something I think that the Planning Commission slowly, if we get into that, or we'll be visiting when it gets into the business section in regards to outdoor patios and where they're permissible, and if there are distance requirements. B1s, B2s, B3s, it may be different. But right now, this is what it is.
So then that's leaving us with the consideration of the possibility of parking. I guess Mr. Schultz wants to come back up, how
Yes, sir.
using that driveway to pull into those spaces, how many parking places would be there? You could still leave the walkway for accessibility. You could conceivably park 2 cars on one side and 2 cars on the other side, correct?
Legally, one space fits on the property. Just like the variance was granted before. They had one conforming parking space, one non-conforming because it was stacked.
And that includes the patio area?
That included the patio area, yes, with the way it was written before.
Well, if the so let me be real dense here. If the driveway is sitting next to the patio area, I suppose it would be the difficulty would be pulling into the spot and then pulling out of the spot. I'm thinking about the parking place next to that annex building for Hocking Valley Bank on Stimson Avenue. You pull in, and then you have to pull out and kind of finagle around to get back out to the street. Similar situation. I mean, it looks like one big parking area, but there's only so much room to move in and out. Is it the same kind of scenario if you could envision that patio area and the driveway as as a parking lot?
Can you speak to that one? I mean,
You understand what the place over at Stimson that I'm talking about?
Yeah, but here at 102 West Union, like I said before, in 2006 and 2008, those appellants said that that little driveway area next to the patio could have two spots there.
Right.
One accessible and one non-accessible. In that particular instance, parked like this, if this car needs to get out, this car has to obviously
Right, that's stacked,
go
but
out.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using that driveway as an entryway into the parking, which is what is the patio. That's my
Well,
question.
Can I?
I don't think you could get more parking spaces that way, because you have to make provisions for egress and exiting. And if you, for instance, put 3 vehicles in there, there's no space for them to back out in order to get out. They would have to,
Back all the way out down
back
to
out.
Union Street.
and
Okay.
I'm not the zoning administrator, but in my opinion, that would be inadequate room for them to maneuver if you try to put 3 cars in. If you put 2 cars in, then you'd still have to use at least part of that driveway as a driveway to get to those 2 spaces.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is, if you wanted to utilize the patio to create parking, in my opinion, the most you could get is 2. Whereas if you just use, and while they may be both accessible, I don't know how it interferes with his plans of putting the entrance on that side, and you could use that driveway for itself for 2 spaces, even though one of them would be inaccessible, or...
Right, correct.
So, that's
Okay.
my opinion, that it wouldn't make a difference.
Did you want to say something else before you sit down?
Oh, no,
I think you did.
I'm not.
Okay. all
Mr.
right.
Morgan, I think.
Mr. Morgan, would you like to come up and tell us your name and
I'm
address?
going to be in the next category, but.
Okay,
I just
okay.
look, it doesn't look like.
All right, so does anybody else wish to speak in general comment? Okay. Okay, we have one general comment before
Oh, I'm
you.
sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
tell us your name and address, please.
All right, thank you.
My name is Hoy, H-O-Y, Chin, C-H-I-N. I'm the original owner of the building since 1974. And just a general comment, I planted 12 honey locust trees on that property in 1976. I had 2 young men, ages 16 and 14, David Whaley and Richard Whaley, and we dug holes about 4 feet in diameter, about 5 feet deep, and we bought the trees from a farm in Indiana. I believe it was Ripma's Florist out on Richland Ave. And back then the trees were something like some outrageous amount, $1,500. But I was a cab driver in New York City for the 4 summers. I was a student here at OU, and there was a park on 53rd Street and 5th Avenue. It was called the William Paley Park. The chairman of CBS had built this beautiful park in memory of his mom, and they had honey locust trees. So somehow it was ingrained in me that we're going to get honey locust trees into Athens. And we planted those trees, and we had no idea the amount of work that was involved, but we almost killed ourselves, the 3 of us. And there were stones and rocks in the lot. But miraculously, 6 of those trees are still there. And we planted those trees in 1976. And when I come, I live in New York now, I came back for this event, but when I come down West Union Street and I see those trees, I can't tell you how happy I am for the west side of Athens and West Union Street in particular. Those trees are majestic. They're 50 feet tall. And they have the effect of what I had originally hoped, the canopy effect of enclosing a park. And I think if there's any way, just an idea of mine, personal idea, if we could preserve that, I think it's good for our town. And I love this town. I've been here since 1969, and I consider this my hometown, even though I live in New York now. And so if I could grant a wish, that would be it, that we preserve that park, and we preserve those trees, and we maintain that patio. I just want to share that with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to speak in general comment? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
I'm William Morgan. I'm the adjacent property owner, the apartment and the parking lot that's immediately to the south side of that.
And your own permanent address?
92 West Union, oh, my address is 36 Cable Lane.
Okay,
Athens,
thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And what I'm going to present you with are drawings.
Oh, we have one.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one I think I did, I guess I did that originally the last time.
Oh, they're a little different.
They're a little
Yeah.
bit different. The dimensions were slightly different, only in that I
There's
took
extra
one, I took
parking
one
space.
dimension off of Richard's drawing in the code office of 31'8". And I think I changed my parking spaces from 10-foot wide to 9-foot wide. The reason I did that is because my parking immediately to the south, as you can see, well, you all have drawings. I guess I'll just continue to give you more drawings. Can't have too much paperwork. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
So, I guess the first thing to notice is that in my parking lot, I was required to have 6 spots. In the planning of my renovation of that building, there was another building there. Just give you a little background on this. So where those 6 cars are was another building, and it had apartments upstairs and storefront downstairs. But the code required that I have a certain amount of parking. So I factored that into my cost of the project. And in today's dollars, I spent $100,000 tearing the old building down, putting in a retaining wall. I had to buy the building in the first place. So, and putting in the retaining wall and also the storm drains and the parking. So I have a considerable amount of money that I invested in my original project because that's what the code required. The code said, you'll have X number of parking spots. I factored that in and said, okay, that's the cost of doing business. So we'll move on from there. But the point is, another point here is that you can see that the amount of space that I have is approximately 30'6". And on Richard's drawings, the architect's drawings, I have, here Richard. I think it's 31'8". So we're right about at the same amount of space in terms of depth. And I've been parking cars there, tenants have been parking cars there for a long time. So there's room to put at 102, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus access or delivery or whatever within that space. I can appreciate that the trees now are mature trees, or maybe, well, mature trees. But at some point, the owner chose to turn a parking lot into a patio. And I'd be willing to bet that there was no variance granted or no permission granted. But the original owner at 102 changed because there's a curb cut all the way across the front at the street. So it was obvious, and I remembered that there was, parking. In fact, the contractor uses that patio right now for parking too. So I guess I'm going to say that there's enough room to put a number of cars there, plus deliveries. One of my complaints has been all along that when there's no parking available there, that delivery trucks from up and down use my spot. I talked to the contractor 2 weeks ago. He was doing some work on the roof, and I explained to him, that's fine, you have parking here, please don't let, any subcontractors, no problem. 2 days later, there was an electrician parked in my spot, and I had to wait, and my tenant had to wait. Another day later, there was another contractor in there. So I'm saying what happens is, if that's the only space that's available, because parking has been eliminated on their lot, then they're going to use my lot for deliveries and whatever. It's going to put my tenants at an inconvenience. I think the noise is another issue. And in fact, in talking in favor of a restaurant, I'm in favor of it. I really want to see a restaurant there. For a long time, it's been a blight. And it's been difficult, certainly a factor, in tenants coming to my building, potential tenants, and seeing nothing over there except construction materials and old fencing and whatever. When the Union Street Cafe was there, one of the issues I had was 55-gallon drums full of grease and whatever, pretty much just rat bait, and it was put right next to my parking area. And so I have a real issue with that, and I suppose that's the health department supposed to be getting onto that. But if you don't have an area for trash, it ends up being somewhere, and maybe there's plans for it, but I don't know where they are. I incorporated an alcove behind my building just enough so I could put my trash cans there, and of course I have to keep after the tenants to make sure that they use it that way, but that's what happened. I made arrangements for that and paid for that. So I'm concerned about the trash, I'm concerned about the noise, I'm concerned about giving permission for someone else to do something that I didn't get permission to do or didn't expect to get permission to do, and I know that you folks have faced this numerous times when people have done renovations around town, and you've said to them, I'm sorry, you have to have parking. And in this particular instance, parking is available. Parking was available and is available, and I would like to see, I'd like to see 4 cars and a driveway. I mean, that's my first choice. Am I willing to have a fallback position? They've already moved the door from the front of the building around to the side, so I guess they've already taken permission. They're already expecting to have permission to put their front door in that patio area. Haven't even got a variance yet, but that's what they've done.
Yeah, I want to say, we don't need a variance to put the door there.
I know, but you're counting on the patio to be there.
That was never, just like
Okay,
Paul
we
said,
can't,
that was
well, we're done. Let's not do it
Okay,
this
go.
way.
Okay.
Mr. Schultz, you will be asked to come back and say whatever you like. And Mr. Morgan, have
I'll
you
talk.
anything new to tell us?
I was trying to think if there was something else. Let me check real quick here. I got a little thrown off my... Okay, so that's my statement.
Okay.
I have a question. So is KMWM Properties and A&M Rentals the same thing?
It's virtually, yes. I had a partner at one time, and I bought him out, and
Okay.
so KMWM Properties is...
So you're the owner of the parking lot and the apartment?
That's correct.
Okay.
I guess I still haven't changed
So
that.
This is
But,
his property.
yeah,
Right.
And the bike shop is over here, away from the
Correct.
patio.
Yeah,
So
right.
he's
And this
not-
parking lot is his?
but that'd be me. A&M was Andrews and Morgan, and KMWM is Karen Morgan. Not like.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Morgan at this point?
So, Mr. Morgan, you said you would be willing to make some compensations, and so you're talking about a couple of situations. So if they put 4 parking places and there's no trash area available, so would you be willing to do 3 parking places? I mean, if-
Yeah, I'm not, I think if some of that is resolved, I'm happy. And in the great scheme of things, I really am in favor of having a restaurant there. I think it'd be great, But, yes, I mean, that's the best I can do. If there's some fallback position, and even in those 4 spots that are shown there, if 1 car was removed, is maybe what you're suggesting, and there's space for parking, and then there's an entrance at where the
Correct.
entrance is, then...
and that's
I show it in red in that one spot there where the entrance, I guess, is going to.
So then that would alleviate the possibility of people trying to pull into your spots because this would obviously have a parking area. Okay.
That's correct.
Although if that area is full, then people will continue.
It's really probably more a matter of deliveries, because probably most people coming to restaurants on that street don't have access to parking in the parking lot.
Oh, and they would know better than to go and park in an
Sure.
apartment parking.
Sure.
Right.
So it's the delivery or your own contractors or somebody like that.
I guess the point is that we do what we can do within the codes. And if there's a real issue that says, well, there's just no possibility of doing it, then, okay, let's jump back a little bit. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. Can I ask John a question?
Why not?
At this point? So, I'm wondering, do we regard tenant parking and business parking as exactly the same thing? Because to me, it seems somewhat different in that these tenants need to have these parking places guaranteed for them, whereas business parking, people will naturally park on the street.
Right.
So are we allowed to?
Yeah, tenant parking is a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
Business parking is based on square footage for the specific use. So, it varies. Restaurants are at 1 per 200 square feet. There's a requirement on that.
I'm just thinking about Mr. Morgan saying, he had to do all this to rent his apartment out, and it seems as though the businesses are being treated differently, but...
It's long-term parking versus short-term parking.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing because, a restaurant, you go for half an hour, and you're gone. And only in the evening maybe, but apartment really does need to have the parking.
Okay, thank you.
Can I respond to that? Just real briefly?
Sure.
I'm easy, so go ahead.
The issue of parking, long-term, short-term, they still have employees that have to park somewhere. And they do have deliveries, and those deliveries happen all day long. And at the time, I'm not quite sure what's required at this moment, but at the time, I wasn't required to rent my spots or include those spots with the building or with the apartments. I just had to have them. I do it now. I mean, that's part of it, but it's, so it's not exactly a one-to-one, but it's pretty close. And of course, at the time when it was the Salvation Army, they could have 200 or 300 people there.
Yeah. Perhaps what we need to ask the city to do is to provide a delivery area, such as take up all the parking spaces on Court Street. But
That can be brought up, Paula. She's the one that assigns where
Okay.
the loading zones are.
What was your question or statement? I couldn't hear you.
I said, I was just joking.
But
But not really.
But
Do we
it-
have as many places?
we don't
for
have
people
anything
to
on
park
Union Street for
on
that?
Union Street as we do on Court Street?
Oh, we had
I thought
business
there
parking
was,
in front
too.
of grinders.
Yeah, okay.
We're just talking about, she's just
Parking-
mentioning that
I'm
on
talking
Court Street so
delivery
much
areas.
is loading zone and you can't
This is a
park.
loading zone, don't park here, right? So do
That's
we
because
have
the
such
truck-
things
your trucks
on
are so
Union
large.
Street that would take care of deliveries in a way that it's done on Court Street? Mr. Schultz, yes.
Schultz.
I have quite a few things to say. I appreciate, Bill and I have known each other a long time, and we're both landlords, and and I appreciate what he's talking about, the investment in his building. But we're talking investment that's based on a per room, per bed charge and your revenue from that versus how many tables, how many people he's sitting in the restaurant and the turnover in the restaurant. So to me, the investment is different how you look at that. The thing that troubles me here is on the 4 parking spaces, the way Bill has it portrayed, the first thing is you lose the metered space to create this.
Okay.
So whether we get 4 spaces, 3 spaces, or 2, you need to take 1 space away from that. The other thing is,
Joseph, can I ask a question?
Let him finish, yeah.
Okay, when he's finished, how about that?
the other thing that's very difficult here, and I thought...
Mr. Schultz, could we stop you? We're not quite clear on what you said about losing the metered
Oh.
space.
That's my question.
In front of here, on West Union Street,
You have to widen
and when
the
Bill
curb.
was talking about, there's this wide curb
Right.
cut, and when it was originally a garage, right,
Right.
this space here. where it says D, driveway, right here. This is a meeting space, an existing meeting space.
Oh, right.
Which
So you
is-
would lose that
Show
one.
me the needed space.
That's right here.
Okay, so
So
you
you
lose
would
that.
lose it, so whatever solution we
Yeah.
possibly come up with,
Buy
it's a
one, get
minus
one,
one.
lose
Right.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, so the city's going to lose?
Okay, let Mr. Schultz
Yeah.
finish, if you don't
I
mind.
see.
The other way I'm looking at this is, in Bill's dimension of 30 feet 6 inches, and what I'm showing is 31.8, it's really difficult to park a car at a right angle like that. I can see if you had angled parking, 45-degree, 30-degree parking, but in either case, it's very difficult to pull in and then back up and pull head
You would
out.
back out onto
And
the
so-
street.
Excuse me?
You would have to back onto the street.
Right, and that's an issue that, that Andy Stone and Ron Lucas and Paula deal with all the time, is curb cuts that just people, their only availability is to back out into oncoming traffic. And the other part is this doesn't allow really for access, or it doesn't allow for, even if we moved the door back to the front, it doesn't allow for delivery access really to get to the door where the kitchen area is. If we would have left the door on the front of the building, it would have created two things. It would have created a ramp that was a minimum of 18 feet long with a 5-foot landing. So there would have been this structure, 23 feet long at a minimum, 20 to 23 feet long in front of the building. It would have brought people into the face of the building where the main seating area is. So everybody, we would have to rearrange the seating. Everybody would walk through where the dining area to get back to where the point of sales is, where people would order. And the other thing we haven't discussed here, a lot of this business is walk-in traffic.
Sure.
Whether it's lunchtime or dinner time in the evening, it's a lot of it is walk-in besides the parking issue here.
Can I ask a question about the deliveries?
Yeah.
I'm now
Yes.
confused about, according to your proposal with the patio, the door, et cetera, where exactly will the deliveries take place?
Paul can speak to what time deliveries come. But on my proposal, this is actually very old. My proposal, what is this? It would still
That's the
happen.
driveway,
It would
yeah.
happen here, whether they parked on the street and, used a cart to get to the back, or whether they would back in their truck.
But that'll be here?
So there is another
B?
door?
Yeah, there's a door, right?
That's what we're trying to
There's no
determine.
door. There's a
Okay.
door right there for service, and there's actually two doors here right now, in and out door.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there is a,
But there's a service door there. It's an existing door.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's a less than perfect situation. We have lots of businesses in town that are less than perfect. There's marked delivery areas on that street. I don't know if it's from 6 to 2 or whatever the hours are, 8 to 2 for delivery. It's a way of life that you just have to figure out how to run your business. I think it's very detrimental to try to put 3 or 4 cars into that area.
Well, I think
so
Mr.
close.
Eschenbach has already spoken to that. It's a limited possibility.
I think that's all I have right now. Do you have
Questions?
questions?
I do have a question for Mr. Paskey or Mr. Eschenbach or both. If we're looking at this drawing of the parking places for A&M rental apartments, and the depth of that parking lot is 30 by 6 inches, 30 feet by 6 inches, and if we look at the possible parking area for the soon-to-be restaurant, it's 31 by 8 inches. So if code approved the 30 by 6, why wouldn't code approve the 31 by 8, which
This
is
is not the
larger?
proposal that was given to us. The request is for 6 parking spaces, a variance for 6 parking spaces. This is a drawing that's coming from somebody else.
Okay, but I'm just saying that in terms of the space,
It would still be denied for lack of number of spaces. It requires 6 parking spaces.
okay, that's fine, but if you were to,
Our code does require or state that the drive, minimum 10 feet, parking space 20 feet
okay,
in most instances, so 30 foot does work.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
And we have done it, but it also states the zoning administrator has the right to determine if they feel it's, I guess what I'm saying is I've been more suspect to allow it on apartments where the cars may move twice a year versus on a business where they are in and out all day long.
I do have one more thing to say.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you,
You are
John.
allowed to rebut, so you may.
No, I was just looking at this layout here of, of trying to get four cars into this area. If we were to try to do something like this, try to get 2 or 3 cars in, we'd have to put a handicap space in.
Yep.
And then we'd have to have an 8-foot handicap aisle. So 2 spaces become 1. Plus, whether this is delivery parking or if there's really a metered out somewhere on that lot. If that's the way this thing shakes out. I don't feel by not, trying to get 2 spaces that we're really affecting the parking down there. But, so I don't see any other way we look at it that we would ever get more than 2 spaces on there and possibly lose one on the street.
Any questions for Mr. Schultz before he sits down?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Did Mr. Morgan have a question?
I think we,
Okay.
briefly,
I'll do it from here.
No, you
you
got
need to come to the podium. This needs to be very
I think the
brief.
issue was a parking meter or loss of a space. You see where the van designation is in that driveway. That's open. People pull right in there. There's no meter in that spot. There'll be no lost parking spot.
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm going to, unless you have something brand new to say,
I just want to rebut something Mr. Schultz said about the number of spaces.
all right. And that's going
Just
to
to
be
speak,
it.
just quickly, just to speak to the fact
Okay,
of 2
go
spaces.
ahead.
All right. 2 spaces is not a big deal unless you're that person looking for that space. And I don't feel that the minimum variance they're not seeking the minimum variance. They're seeking a full variance beyond what they could accomplish.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the floor at this point, and so, no more questions. Okay. We have findings that we need to go through. Other questions or comments that you all want to make before we go through findings?
I just want to make a quick comment that for many years when I have been to that part of the town, I have always found parking. In fact, when I go to the restaurant, there's always, this morning there was plenty available. And I'm not really in favor of parking in that, even if you put 2 cars in there, and people are not going to be comfortable going in and out, so there seems to be plenty of parking on the street as of right now. It's been for a long time, so.
Well, and my comment would be that I'd rather have 5 beautiful trees in an area that's not rife with trees than 2 parking spaces. But
Right.
we will vote and see how this comes
Yeah,
out, okay? So, practical difficulty and undue hardship because of...
Motion first, maybe.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I'm very forgetful tonight. Give us a motion.
Okay. I move that we consider in case 1306V at 102 West Union Street, a variance from Athens City Code 2310, Table B, off-street parking requirements, to allow a business use restaurant with 0 on-site parking spaces where 6 on-site accessible parking spaces are required.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so practical difficulty and undue hardship because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of the regulations would result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes.
Well, there's no way they can meet the 6, so, and the possible 1 or 2, it seems that it's going to create more problem, hardship, than just.
It's certainly true that they can't do the 6.
Huh.
Well, they can't do 6.
They can't do more than 2, according to Mr. Eschenbacher, especially if one has to be a handicap space. Okay. exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone.
Again, location, size.
Well, early on, as you recall, I asked the zoning administrators what was the situation with other restaurants in this area, and we have some facts about a few of them, i.e. the ones that do have parking, but some of the rest of them are sort of up in the air. Maybe they don't have parking, maybe they do have parking, maybe they are grandfathered, or maybe they're not. So I don't know that it would be so different from some of the other places there.
This is more than just a strip that has restaurants. It's a mixed
Yes, it
business
is. I
use, and
understand
I think that has to be...
I'm talking specifically about but you're right, there are other businesses along
Right,
that
and
way.
so all
Sure.
of that has to be
Okay.
taken into consideration.
exactly right.
In terms of equal property rights.
Okay, so preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of the regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone, in the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity.
You just mentioned that, some have, some don't, so it would be...
Well, and as Ms. Gronowski is pointing out, it's a mixed use, so
Yeah.
there are residents there as well as businesses, and they're not all restaurants, but, yeah, okay. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property.
No. Obviously, I think that was presented in the evidence.
It depends what you mean by reasonable use.
Reasonable use,
Well,
well, is the patio reasonable use? I mean, if you want to...
If you want
Not that I'm in favor of paving everything and cutting down trees, I'm
Well,
definitely not. But
okay.
when we were talking earlier,
Yep.
about making exceptions for some and not for others, and I think that we have to consider this.
I do consider that, and I do agree with Mr. Morgan that he did have to comply. His business is of a different nature,
Absolutely.
with a different profit margin and different extremes of use. That's not the right word, but certainly heavier use than the kind that a restaurant gets. But
But all the other businesses that are totally inside are very successful. And
True.
so it would be nice to have more outside places, but everything up and down the strip, except I think Grinders has some picnic tables outside, but the Union Street Cafe is totally enclosed, and it does a very robust business.
well, I'm not suggesting that they would have to have the outside business to thrive. I'm simply suggesting that being able to park 2 cars, in my opinion, is not worth as much as having beautiful trees, whether you eat under them
I
or
agree with
not.
that. That's what I meant by
okay.
reasonable.
But
Right, I'm not
just-
disagreeing with that, I'm just trying to
Yes,
stick to some of the rules that
well,
guide us.
that's what we're here for, is to see
Ouch.
how closely the rules have to be followed. People wouldn't be here if we weren't able to
Exactly.
grant
I'm just
variances
saying
in some
minimum,
cases.
not
That's fine, that's just
total,
fine. Okay, not of a general nature, the condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of the property for which the variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent in nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situations. And as usual, we say no here, but I suggest more loading zones. Okay. All right. Yes.
Can I make a comment before you vote, or is it too late?
Oh, it's mostly too late.
No more.
No more?
Okay. So, anything else you want to speak about before we vote? Done? We'll start with you.
I vote yes.
I would yes.
Me?
Yes.
I vote yes.
I vote no.
Okay, and I also vote yes, because I'm in favor of trees. Okay. So, you will have the variance, and
Appreciate that.
your time. And obviously, you're going to have to work with your neighbors who own the bike shop and the rental property to be sure that you do not leave your trash there, that you provide places for deliveries, and be a good neighbor. Okay. I'm glad you came to the meeting. I'm glad you painted the trees. So welcome back. Let's see, our other business, as far as I know, is just the minutes, so.
I move that we accept the minutes unless there's...
I second.
All right. Is there any other business that we need to attend to?
I don't think so.
All right. We're adjourned.